we're going to go ahead and jump back in. Start with day 2 of the South Carolina Mentor Training. You should have a copy of the PowerPoint there in front of you. Is anybody missing a PowerPoint? We get them all out. Excellent. Okay. So just a quick reminder of some training norms. I have a good friend who always says good groups have good norms and great groups have great norms. So I want us to be a great group again today. So quick reminder to be present physically and mentally. Know there's a lot going on. We're going to do our best to stay focused, and I know that you'll do the same. Use those electronic devices responsibly. If you do need to step out to take a phone call, if something is happening back at school or with your family, please feel free to do that. You can step into the lobby and take care of that. Keep asking questions, participate actively. That makes it a whole lot more engaging for your participants as well as us as the presenters. And then we'll stick to that schedule. Again, it's 9 o'clock, so we're starting. And you did a really awesome job yesterday about getting back on time. So we'll ask you to do that again today and probably have you on the road before 4 o'clock today. Definitely try to get you out a little bit early. Training outcomes, we introduced these outcomes yesterday. Remember we said by the end of day 2, these are the things that you would be able to do. So we spent a lot of time talking about needs of beginning teachers. We looked at those pathways to certification yesterday, some shocking ways into the classroom. And then we talked a little bit about roles and responsibilities of mentors, making sure the role that we assume matches that beginning teacher's need. Today we're going to spend time on effective mentoring practices. We're going to live inside that mentoring cycle. So you'll learn about observations, you'll learn about each of the conferences, the pre-observation and the post-observation conference. And then by the time you leave, you will be ready to go out and start applying some of this new learning with the teachers that you mentor. Now I will go ahead and tell you that yesterday was sort of that foundational day. So it felt very comfortable. You probably knew some of that. We were able to just add on a layer. Today's going to be a little bit different. Some of this may be brand new to you. Most of what we do is going to require additional practice. There's no way in a 2-day training that I can give you enough practice for you to feel like you're an expert. So you're going to leave here thinking, yeah, I'm not good at that yet, or I need a little bit more time to work with that. We understand that. We appreciate that. And we know that because you are as professional as what you have proven to be, that you're going to take the time to get that additional practice. And we'll tell you how you could do that. So here's our day 2 agenda. We're going to start off with coaching dialogue protocols. We'll move into the pre-observation conference, observation, post-observation conference, and end with TLOs. So with that, we're going to jump in. Quick review. Remember the GPS was something that Suzanne introduced to you yesterday. And it really should be that touchstone for you as you work through the mentoring cycle and as you're working with that beginning teacher. It's a reminder, a visual to help you say, these are all the different mentoring tasks that I have to assume within the formal mentoring that I'm going to be involved in. So we have trust at the center. We're always making sure that we're building or reinforcing trust with that beginning teacher. The 4 steps of the cycle are here: pre-observation, observation, post-observation, TLOs. The main role or responsibility that you're going to assume during each of those tasks is in the green ring on the outside. We're remembering to differentiate our mentoring at all times. Figure out where they are and then help to push them forward. And when we do that, we build professional practice and efficacy with those beginning teachers. So you'll see that GPS pop up a good bit today as we work through the mentoring cycle. So starting off, we need to talk just a little bit about the difference between conversations and dialogue. We have to be very intentional with the language that we use when we are in the formal parts of our mentoring relationship, when we are working on some of these formal tasks. When we engage in conversation, it's easy It's what we do all the time. It's very casual in nature. It's not focused on professional growth. It helps to build trust. So especially early on in that initiation phase of the mentoring relationship, you're having a lot of conversation. Tell me about your weekend. Now, your kids are how old? How are they doing in school? Did you watch this on TV last night? What are your plans for the weekend? Building trust and relationship. Once we get into the mentoring cycle and we start to engage in the pre-observation conference and the post-observation conference specifically, we're going to shift to dialogue. And dialogue is an intentional form of professional communication. It sounds a little bit different. This is where some of that practice is going to come into play. Because we are so intentional in how we phrase our questions or our statements, we're encouraging reflection. We're encouraging collaboration between yourself and that beginning teacher. It helps your mentee begin to think about their professional practice. So we're taking out some of those conversational tones so that they understand we are truly looking at professional practice here. And I will tell you that dialogue is deep and challenging. It takes a little bit more effort. It takes a little bit more time. Again, it is a thoughtful approach to what it is that we're doing with that beginning teacher. So I want to introduce to you the coaching dialogue protocol. And if you have been through SLO training as an evaluator, you've seen this before. And it's with intentionality that we're using the same process that some of the administrators are using with you and then with your beginning teacher, so that they will be used to this form of communication to help them feel a little bit more comfortable. And because SLOs, evaluation, mentoring, we're all focused on professional practice. Okay, so we want to make sure we're working within the dialogue. You'll see there are 3 boxes up here: validate, clarify, stretch, and apply. We're going to validate our beginning teachers an awful lot. We want to make sure that they realize the good things that they are doing in their classrooms, because a lot of times beginning teachers are going to jump to everything that went wrong. They're going to pick up on all of this. So we want to help them to see the positives, the things that did go well. We are going to we're going to validate their actions, their thought processes, the planning, the work that went into a particular lesson leading up to it. Anything that you want them to do more of. If we validate them, they're going to do it more often. And so we don't say things like, I like this, or this was good, but we're going to use some very specific terminology, and we'll show you some stems for each of the pre-observation and the post-observation conference that will help you validate that beginning teacher. We're going to clarify. And so a lot of times when we're clarifying, we might paraphrase, we might ask a question. Clarifying just helps to make sure we are both on the same page, that I understand exactly what is happening. You're also, when you ask these questions, getting that beginning teacher to think through something a little bit more. We've all been there. We've all done this. You know, when you've got this plan in your head and you kind of have it floating around in there, and then somebody asks you a question and you go, yeah, I hadn't thought about that step. So now I got to back up 2 steps to get to that step to get to my end goal. That's what clarifying does. It helps them to begin to put all those steps in place so that they don't miss something within that lesson. And then stretch and apply. So stretch and apply is really the learning piece for them. This is where we might make a suggestion, or 2 or 3, and let them choose. We might talk about something that they're not familiar with, or clarify for them something that we know a lot about, whether it's differentiation or assessment or motivating students, to help them stretch their learning. And we're going to get a commitment from them that they are going to apply it in their work. Because it's really easy to go, yeah, I agree with you, yeah, I'm not doing that. Okay, so we're going to get them to stretch, get them to think about what it would look like in their classroom. I think I'm going to try that tomorrow. Great, I can't wait to hear about it. Okay, so there's that apply piece in there as well. Now you notice the double-sided arrows. That's because there is no hard and fast rule that you're going to validate, clarify, stretch, and apply. You're going to move back and forth between these boxes based on what your beginning teacher needs and what he or she says to you. So I may very well validate, 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 stretch and apply, validate, clarify, validate, stretch, and apply. I may move all around there depending on what it is that that beginning teacher needs. I also want to encourage you within this dialogue to pause, paraphrase, make a statement, or ask a question. That pause is a way of reinforcing the fact that you are listening. They have a chance to think, and oftentimes when you pause, that beginning teacher is going to start talking more. They're going to fill that space, and the more they give us, the more they talk to us, the more we know. We should be doing less talking in the dialogue. Most of the time and space should be filled with the beginning teacher's thoughts and ideas. Okay, so we're pausing. It also gives you time to be thoughtful in terms of what it is that you're going to say to that person. You don't have to feel like you have to have that question right on the tip of your tongue. You got a moment to formulate it before you spit it out. Paraphrasing is another way of clarifying. It also proves that we're listening again. It helps to reinforce trust. When you paraphrase, if your beginning teacher gave you this much, you're giving her or him back this much. So it's much, much shorter. Paraphrase also allows you to make sure that you guys really still are thinking the same thing. Because if I paraphrase back to Kelly something that I thought she said and I don't have it right, she's very quickly going to go, no, that's not what I meant. And she's going to go off and tell me more about it, and now I have a better understanding. So that pause, paraphrase, ask a question, make a statement is built in sort of around that coaching dialogue protocol. And you're going to have an opportunity to not only see a pre-observation conference where I'm going to try to model the coaching dialogue protocol for you, but also a chance to practice it yourself just to get your toe wet with it, just to see what it feels like. And so I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne, and she's going to take you through that.